Hello and welcome to the No Filter Just Faith podcast. I'm so excited to be back and joined today by two very special guests. We have Gabby Biltz and Casey Welby with us today to talk about being new to the parish. Hi, Gabby and Casey.
Hi.
How you doing?
Fabulous. Yeah.
Good. So this is part one of a series about being new to the parish. We get so many new people throughout these months, like people moving to Chicago, moving to the neighborhood. And so I think we just are hoping to encourage people and maybe give them some advice for when you're new to a church and how to kind of get involved so that it is an experience that is fulfilling and fun. So why don't we start with Casey? Tell us when you found St. Clement.
Yeah, it was 3 years ago, probably like August, September time. I was looking for a new parish when I moved to Gold Coast, and I was kind of like checking a few out, but one time I walked past St. Clement on accident and saw something going on outside in the front. I was like, wow, that's a lot of activity out there. Like, I wonder what's going on. And eventually that drew me back in. I think it was probably like donuts on the patio or something. But just that initial curiosity, it looked exciting and inviting. So I ended up coming back one time for, I think it was like an 11:15 Mass. And everyone was so welcoming from like the very minute I stepped in, and there were people greeting you at Mass. So just from like the very first steps and glance at St. Clement, I was like, oh, this has a different energy.
Did you come by yourself?
I did.
Okay, so you didn't know anybody that went to St. Clement?
No.
Okay, cool. Yeah, I was the same way, and I also just found it by like walking by. So it's funny to see how you can go from like showing up, knowing no one, to a couple years later, here you are, very involved, know a lot of people, that sort of thing.
Absolutely,
so I love that. Gabby, what was your start with the parish?
One of convenience, I'll admit. I lived right on Deming when I first moved to Chicago. And so when I was looking at different parishes, I was like, well, I'll check out this one that's 2 minutes down the street. It's probably where I'll end up, but I'm willing to church hop if it's not it. And first Mass, 7 p.m. Mass, I was like, oh, okay, this is exactly where I need to be. I was coming from a university where I'd been surrounded by so many young adult Catholics and so many people inspired by their faith that I was really worried moving to the city that I wasn't going to have that. And I was going to have to like find it somewhere. And I got really blessed because it was just kind of planted in my lap at Clement. But started and came to a new parishioner event when I first came and met a couple people and just a few, but it was enough to every week be coming back and see those few people in the pews for 7 p.m. Mass and start to recognize more and more faces as the weeks went on, which was really nice. So again, went from knowing no one really at the parish to sitting in church every week and being like, oh, I recognize that girl in the corner and that girl in the corner. And maybe not knowing names yet, but like recognizing faces and knowing that people started to recognize me as well.
Right. Yeah. That's I remember the first time that I like started coming to Mass and then had signed up for something. I can't remember if I did liturgical ministry first or had already done. No, I did Alpha right away. So I remember the first time I came to Mass and someone said, hey, Elise, like knew me by name. I was like, whoa, that's cool. Like someone here knows me and they know that I am here and they might have noticed if I didn't come, sort of thing. So just feeling known in that way is such like it feels very special when you kind of get to that point of being like, no, I do know people here. What so like obviously we all started out with showing up for Mass. What was like the first thing you did outside of Mass that you felt like was kind of one step further into the parish?
I did a meet and greet with new parishioners, and it was actually the one before the young adult community Thanksgiving potluck.
Oh, cool.
So then we all went over together and were able to like sit at a table together, share a meal. And then again, was able to go to Mass in the upcoming weeks and be like, oh, I just met these new friends and like familiar faces. So I think that was my entryway into the young adult community. And it was such a wonderful one that it really ensured that I kept coming back.
Yeah. And were you the same, Gabby?
So I did a young adult meet and greet, and then pretty quickly, probably within a month of being at the parish, joined a small group Bible study
Cool.
through our young adult community, and met a lot of really wonderful people through that. And that was nice too, because it was once a week outside of Sunday Mass. And so it was I was coming to church then twice a week, and I was seeing different people at Mass than I was maybe seeing at our Bible study. And then our Bible study would sometimes go out for a drink afterwards. So it became kind of a social item in addition to being at church, but it was still rooted kind of in studying the Bible, which was nice.
Yeah. I think it's cool that you both like took a risk per se to like go show up to something on your own, where like I think we could get in our heads and be like, oh no, it's going to be awkward. I don't know anybody. But you really just have to like do those things and be like, who cares if it's awkward? I have nothing to lose here. I want to like pour into this community in some way, so I'm gonna show up. So were you like nervous when you went to those things, or did you just kind of say
Absolutely.
Yeah.
But I think moving to a new city and not really knowing anyone, like you have to.
Yep.
Like there's just no other way to kind of,
it's just
you
like
have to take
you
that
put
first
yourself
step
out there.
And Clement was the perfect community to like take that step into,
because almost everybody would have like showed up knowing no one, or maybe knowing like one or two people.
Yep.
So everyone kind of is in the same boat, and they get it, and they just want everybody else to have the same experience that they have, which is really cool.
Yeah.
Let's talk about kind of where you guys have been involved in the last like over your time here, but really in the last few months. I think you both have really stepped up in a variety of like parish ministries. Kind of talk about what you've worked on, because then I want to hear about how that has really helped your faith and your love for the community. So why don't you start?
Sure. When I first came to Clement, I also joined like the lector training, because I had done that in college and it was something familiar. But when I was there, they also encouraged me to do the Eucharistic minister training. And I was like, oh no, that's way too scary. Like that's I just don't think I could do that.
Okay, interesting, because I feel like most people think lecturing is way too scary. But I guess with Eucharistic ministering, you're like very close to, it's like a big role.
Yes.
So too. It's all important. Yeah.
So I think that was kind of like the first big push that I needed to get more, just to kind of get involved with that. And then from there, Gabby and I have been on the Young Adult Community board.
Now you know what the acronym is. Yeah.
I've been on for 2 years. Gabby's been on for 3 years. And that has been so wonderful. And then I did Alpha this past spring, and now I'm going to be helping leading it this
you
fall.
both are.
I'm
so exciting.
Yes.
I'm so excited about that.
Yeah, so you've really touched all different parts of the parish. You helped with our stewardship and development a little bit.
Yeah.
With the campaign and the dome renovation and those sorts of things. And Gabby has been a liaison for new people. Yep. So like what about those roles and the roles that you've done has really like shown you the parish in a new light, or just like helped you be like, okay, I want to commit to this more?
For me, because I get to interact with new people every month, some months we would have a new parishioner event and 3 people would show up. And sometimes we would have the huge church-wide ones and there'd be 100 people that show up. And I think for me, just to see a constant new energy around the church, new people joining, new families, new young adults, people moving from college, any, different cities, that has been so wonderful. But then to see those people at a new parishioner event, and then let's say 4 months later, I see them being an EM or being a lector, and you're like, wow, they came just like me. They didn't know anybody, but they got involved, and now they're like a presence in the church, and they found their people in the church, and they found their things in the church. And so to me, that's been really rewarding, and how I've seen our parish kind of grow and flourish, and seeing like somebody who comes to a new parishioner event, knows no one, and just jumps right in and kind of just is all in the church, which has been awesome to see.
Yeah, that is really cool.
Yeah.
And what would you say for your kind of roles?
I think with stewardship this year, that was something I didn't have a lot of experience in, and also not something I really thought too much about, like in my own time as a parishioner here. But slowly began learning just how important it is to the life of this parish, to not only like the beautiful architecture of St. Clement, but to all of the programming that goes on here. That it doesn't just happen out of thin air.
Yeah.
That, like, there's a lot of time and resources and staff that goes into that.
Yeah.
And also just kind of breaking it down so like you don't have to give like thousands of dollars like every week, whatever. But I think kind of being able to see it from like a larger lens, how much this does impact the whole parish. That was something I hadn't previously thought about.
Yeah. And it's, for anyone who might be confused, stewardship is just code for, not code, but it just means like fundraising and making sure we have the resources that we need to keep a parish running. And it's such an interesting thing, actually, because you specifically worked with like young adults, and how do we kind of communicate to our young adult community that stewardship is not just for, you know, people our parents' age or anything like that. It's everybody can contribute something. And so that is such an interesting part of too, of like when you choose a parish that you're saying like, okay, this is going to be my parish. Then you kind of do have to think about, okay, how am I sharing my resources, my time? Can I donate money? Those sorts of things too. I mean, I've learned so much about that as well, just working here. And when you really start to understand what all goes into it, then you want to pour into it more. Absolutely, which I've seen both of you two do so well, of like you understand the needs of like, so you're always willing to lend a hand quickly. And so I think that's just such a cool thing. It's like the more people put their foot in the door here, the more that they'll see there's like more places for them to be, and ways that they can share their gifts and all that stuff.
I think of it a little bit as a friendship in a way. Like you have a friendship and a relationship with the church. Like we all maybe have those friends who take and take and take, and you just get really drained, I think, in those friendships. And so if you think of your relationship with the church in that same vein, like you should want to give to your church. You should want to have that relationship with your church.
Yeah.
And, you know, whether that be give back monetarily or give your time or just get involved, like you want a close relationship with your church in the way that you would have with your close friends. So
wow, that was so good. Oh my gosh.
No, that's just how I think about
that's
it,
so good. And because it's the same way. And like, you know, I think there's a tendency for young adults to kind of feel like they can always hop around to different parishes and stuff, in the same way that you could like just, you know, have a bunch of quantity of friends, but you really want that quality friend. So I love that analogy because I think it's so good. It's like when you pour into any relationship, I keep saying pour into, but that's really, maybe it's because there's a giant downpour before we recorded this. But I really do think that's good, that like you have to be willing to commit to something. And when you do, you'll see so much come out of it, and just be so grateful for all that you've witnessed. So I love that. Treat your church like your friend. I love that.
There you go.
Gabby's like signing off. So when you meet new people, what do you encourage them right off the bat to do?
If it's this time of year and we're in the fall and kind of the season post-summer, I always encourage Alpha or some sort of small group activity at the church. So Alpha is, I think, the most natural one that we kind of push new parishioners towards, but we have, you know, Bible studies, like I know we're starting life groups, which sound really cool. Even a volunteer event where maybe they have 10 people doing meal packing for LPCS, like something of that nature where you're going to meet a small group of people. My favorite event we do every year is Theology on Tap, but it is our largest event as a young adult community, and it can be a little bit overwhelming trying to actually meet people. And so go to those events to get a taste of what Clement offers and how many incredible people and young adults come to this church, but then sink your teeth into something that's like small so that you really can build up some friendships and find some people that you go to mass with every week, or find a little bit of a smaller community where you can actually talk to people versus kind of being one of many.
Yes,
is what I tell people.
Exactly. Totally. Get to the quality of it all. Yeah. Cool. Casey, what would you say when you meet a new person?
It's, I feel like, a little bit more logistical, but sign up for the newsletter or social media, because
that's too good advice. I love it.
There is just always something going on. And it's like very easy to get plugged into those things when you know that they're happening. And those are two great ways. To find out information.
Okay, I love it. Those are two really good pieces of advice. I would also say liturgical ministry is a
Mhm.
great way to just like meet one or two more new people
Mhm.
and also start to see some more of the behind the scenes stuff.
Yeah.
I think that is a good way to just, show up on Sundays in a more intentional way.
Mhm.
If you guys think back to like when you first joined St. Clement, it's funny for me to think about this too, because like, would you have ever thought your first mass here that like your involvement would look like this?
No.
Yeah, right?
Yeah.
Like it's crazy
Mhm.
to think about it like that. And like how has getting involved to the level that you have shaped your relationship with Jesus? Like how has your faith been rooted more central in your life because of the ways that you've gotten involved here?
I feel like it's introduced me to so many more people who want to put faith at the center of their life in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Putting faith at the center of your life in a huge city like this as a young adult and trying to figure out where God fits and all that is
Yeah.
not easy.
Mm-hmm.
And so to have a good community of people that can help you navigate that and work through that, but like have some fun in that too, and see
Yeah.
kind of the enjoyable side of church and a parish community has been really lovely. So I
Yeah.
think for me that's
Like
what it would
it's
be.
something that is better shared. It's more about,
Yeah.
not taking it all on yourself, realizing that you have other people to kind of help you through that.
Mhm.
I love that.
Yeah.
That's so good. What would you say?
I think Alpha was a really formative experience.
Mm-hmm.
The small groups, I hadn't really done a lot of that at
Yeah.
Clement before Alpha. And it was such a great way to hear more about other people's faiths, their faith journeys. Like a lot of questions came up for me that I'm like, like I remember learning about this in school, but have I ever really thought beyond just like that learning?
Yeah.
So I think that was really formative in my prayer life, knowing God and knowing Jesus.
Yeah.
I think it was because it was such a small, intimate group.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I love that. Yeah, because I think it's like whether we like think about it constantly or not, it's like when you discover the goodness of what church life is, you just want to keep sharing it with people.
Right.
Which is why, like, I know the three of us all show up here all the time, It's like we just know that there's so much goodness here and that you just want to invite people into that.
Mm-hmm.
So I love that it's like the more that you put yourself into it, the more you naturally just want to share it.
Yeah.
So I love that. Yeah, I guess like our main message here has been keep showing up to things, find ways to get in smaller groups, whether that be through volunteering, through programs, through life groups and small group Bible studies. Just show up in a way that is a little bit more intimate.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yeah.
Yeah, so I guess my encouragement and my prayer for any new person is that they just keep showing up, that they are courageous when they're a little bit afraid of it being awkward. Any like last words of encouragement you would give to a new person?
Look for familiar faces, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Look for
the
these
friendly
two.
faces.
Look
The
for
people
these
that have been on
two.
the people that have been on this podcast
Yeah.
are more than willing to say hello to you in any
Yes.
capacity. So
Yeah, just knowing that everyone's in the same boat when you come to a new parishioner meet and greet. If you come to Alpha, like everybody's in the same boat. And also praying to God for courage. I think that also is so helpful, knowing that you aren't really alone when you're coming alone to Mass or to any event. So yeah.
Yeah. Oh, I love that. Well, thank you guys for talking this through. And yes, anybody who's new and sees Gabby or Casey, say hi. They're wonderful. One question that I want to wrap up with that I like to ask all my guests is, what is something right now that is fueling your faith? So it could be a book. It could be something that you've been doing lately in your prayer life. We'll start with Casey. What would you say?
I think praying in anticipation of Alpha. So praying for any newcomers. I think I have one or two friends and old coworkers that are coming and kind of coming back to the faith for the first time. So praying for them especially. And yeah, just praying
all the time.
Period.
That's perfect.
Okay.
That's perfect. You
Okay,
can end
I'll
there
be-
and we'll go to Gabby. That's perfect.
probably two things for me. I have been doing Bible in a year, and I had done a Bible study, a few years ago, but I had never like sat and read the Bible start to finish. And I love it. It's something that I really look forward to every day. It's something that I'm like, I have my little notes Bible and I write all my
Cool.
notes. And I've just really been enjoying kind of reading parts of the Bible that we either don't hear in Mass or parts in the Bible where we hear just a little snippet and not the full kind of context of what's going on. So I've loved that. And then one of our Theology on Taps was Matt Maher, and he came and sang, and I didn't realize I knew as much Matt Maher music as I
Right.
did. And it kind of got me into, I've been mixing more Christian music into kind of my normal listening music and, you know, dance around in the kitchen sometimes with it. And it's just been really, I think, lovely to kind of have my songs on shuffle and all of a sudden, you know, something Christian will pop up and I'll be like, oh, God knew I needed this today.
Yes.
So
I
both
love
of those
that.
have been really great for me.
Those are great answers. All right. Well, thank you both for being here.
Yeah,
Thank you so
thank
much.
you.
And everybody else, we'll talk to you soon.